Okay. So I'm going to start the meeting at 6:03. Before we start the meeting, I would like to bring to your attention that we have with us today Pajua Gamba. She is going to be our student rep starting tonight. So for those of you that don't know Pajua, she is currently in 10th grade, I believe. Did a fabulous job in the play this past weekend. And if you're okay with it, Pajua, if you would like to address the board and just say hello and tell them why you wanted to be on the board, that would be great. Maybe not. Oh, I scared her, she left. Well, if she comes back, we'll see if she wants to talk to you guys. And also,
agenda.
we haven't gotten there yet. I was just doing introductions. So.
Okay.
Okay. And we're also, Catherine Lazarus is here from the Reporter. She's taken over for Lee Cars. So thanks for joining us today, Catherine.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So at this time at 6:04, I will call the meeting to order. I need someone to make a motion to review and accept the agenda. Barbara, okay, second from Mike. Thank you. We are going to be walking on some policy changes that we forgot to put on the agenda that Bill had brought to our attention. We'll put that under governance process. I believe you got that document in your packet. Well, it wasn't in your packet, but you got the document today through email from Melinda. Anything else that we need to add? Okay. All those in favor of the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
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 Okay.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nope. Okay, we have an agenda. And I already welcomed Pajua. Hopefully she'll be able to be back with us. So, communications with parents, citizens, and staff. If anybody is here to address the board. And I have had no Let's Talk communications. I don't know about you, Jean. Okay, so we are going to move into consent agenda. Does anyone want to make a motion?
So moved.
Okay, and looks like Barbara is seconding. All those that approve the consent agenda, please signify by saying aye.
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 All those
Aye.
opposed? Okay, consent agenda passes. Thank you for that. So we are going to move on to a presentation by Jean on the recovery plan for reopening schools. It was in your packet. And I believe the deadline is passed for people to sign up for that.
Yes, although it's more than just summer. So I'll throw it up just so that you can see it.
Great.
Or maybe I will. And then I'll just give you a brief summary, but it's also helpful for me to see it. So
I'm back.
Hi, Angela.
give me 1 second.
We're just starting the presentation, Angela, for global monitoring on the recovery plan for reopening schools.
I have to get past the 50-page audit report.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
$50 pages was probably a light estimate. While I'm searching this, you know, I'm wondering if the full report needs to go in the packet or if we can link to the web. That might be helpful. So I might play around with that a little bit. Okay, I've got it. So the Agency of Education, in order to get our federal dollars, has asked that we develop a education recovery plan. That is their language, not ours. And so we had to create a diverse committee, and you'll see who the committee is at the top of the document you have. We had to look at our data, and you can see that as well in the document if you want to dig down deep into it. And specifically, our data showed that more than 50% of our students were still struggling in the core area of reading, English language arts, and math. And at Neshabe Elementary, and at Otter Valley Middle and High School, more than 50% were struggling also in those same core areas. And using that data, then we needed to address 3 pillars. One being the social, emotional, mental health, and well-being of students. This is defined by the feds. One being engagement and truancy, and one being academic achievement and success. So if you read through the plan, you can read through the different data points that we have and how we wish to address those and the detail. Specifically tonight, to give you an overview summary, we are addressing we have spent, first of all, you need to understand that the ESSER funding is 3-year funding, and then it goes away. So it's intended to address those 3 areas and to make sure that we're addressing any needs of students who may have fallen behind during the pandemic and the remote learning environment. So to that end, we started with summer, and you have received copies of the summer offerings that we are giving students. And the summer offerings is more than just academic, it's also social, emotional. We also are offering tutoring, specific one-on-one tutoring for any student who signs up for it. And we are looking to partner with the Brandon Recreation Department, as well as our own SOAR program, so that parents who want full day coverage for their kids can both access our programs, which are not full day, and have full day. So to that end, we're having all elementary programs for Otter Valley students at Neshabe. I can't see.
Let Natalie in. Sorry.
I don't, okay. I honestly don't see Natalie. I don't have a,
Dollar. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll also, there she is. She just got here.
Okay.
Nice try though. Lori, I'm also making you co-host. Sorry, meant to do that. There you go. So tutoring, both academic and recreational programs, partnership with SOAR program at Neshabe, partnership with Brandon Rec, having the programs for elementary at Neshabe to cover the district, providing transportation, providing lunch and breakfast, also having programs at the Otter Valley campus. And for those students at Otter Valley who need credit recovery, the Edmentum program that you have already seen assessment data on also has credit recovery courses in it. So we worked with department chairs to identify which courses we needed to make available to students. And those credit recovery courses will be virtual online courses students can take through Edmentum, but we do plan to hire a staff person, a teacher, to kind of coordinate that and assist the students, and even have a drop-in lab to assist the students who don't want to just sit at home and do that. We also plan to keep those credit recovery courses going for the next at least 2 years, to give students time to get caught up in case they want, or even get ahead, honestly, in case they want to. Then for the school year, RNESU has done a lot of hiring of academic interventionists. We added an additional academic interventionist at every school, 2 at the high school. We have redesigned our coaches model with Megan Martin leaving social emotional. We are hiring an equity and engagement coach and a multi-tiered system of supports and social emotional coach. So along with our academic coach, which is Laura King, so we'll have 3 coaches, and the coaches don't work with kids. The coaches work with staff to help the staff help the kids. And then the academic interventionists work with the kids. We also have revisited our contracts with Rutland Mental Health and Counseling Services of Addison County to see if we can add any more supports mental health supports for students and purchased, I believe that the guidance department was looking at a healthy student curriculum to help support some resilience and mindfulness training in the classroom. I'm not positive about that. I recall that they were discussing it. I don't know if they have done it. So that's kind of our plan is this intensive support for the next couple of years, making sure that we've got the manpower to provide this support. And we all living within the ESSER funds and all with an eye to not building an empire that has to stay, but to provide intensive support to phase out after 3 years so that the community is not suddenly absorbing positions that they didn't have before the pandemic. We realize that's very, very important that we keep, that we focus our funds on the current need and then hiring with the thought that your position is going away in 2 to 3 years. Bill.
At the beginning of your presentation, you had said that certain percentages were not doing as well as they should. When was that tested, Minister?
That comes from, just a sec. The different data sources are in the plan. They're not in my head. So the
What I'm getting
SEL,
at is,
I'm sorry? What's that?
what I'm getting at is, are we comparing the pre-COVID data with COVID data?
No, not necessarily. Not for that data that I gave you. It's not necessarily compared, but and yes, so it depends on the data that we're looking at, Bill. So some of the data inventory can look at historical data and can compare the COVID era data with the pre-COVID era data. Some of it cannot. Some of it, however, is also self-reported information, and that cannot. But things like absenteeism, things like the reading assessments that we do with our lower elementary grades, some of those things have historical data. And again, if you walk through the report, you should be able to see what was used. The Edmentum SBAC diagnostic data, RNESU COVID recovery survey, that's a self-reported information, the data inventory tool, local assessment data, classroom performance tasks, formative assessments, intervention data, surveys, and then we also data in Power School such as absenteeism and behavioral reports and grades and report cards and attendance data. So there was quite a bit of data, and some of it is historical and some of it is not.
What percent of the student body were tested?
It depends on the grade level. So our local assessment plan has different assessments given at different grade levels. So for example, our primary age kids, K1, 2, 3, are assessed more frequently in reading and written language and math. Older kids, high school kids, are not assessed. They are assessed within the classroom curriculum, as well as the Edmentum assessments that you have seen the results of 2 of those of. You haven't seen the 3rd because we're still doing SBAC and Edmentum even this week. So that's not complete to show you, but I'll show you probably at the August retreat. So every student's been assessed in some way, but not the same way across all grades. Barbara?
Did parents get any kind of notification if there was a recommendation from a teacher that their student should consider being in one of these programs?
We asked principals and teachers worked through their educational support team process and identifying students who we really want to encourage to enter some of the summer programs. And either teachers or somebody on the EST team should have reached out to the parents. And everyone's encouraged to come, whether you were notified or not. It's free programming this summer, and the this programming is free, and we are encouraging, just so that kids can get outside and be with each other, to come if they can. And not everything is every day. Some of our programming might be once a week or twice a week or a week-long camp. It varies. Any other questions on the recovery plan? Lori, we can't hear you.
Can you tell us how many people have started to access this as far as
Yeah, I can't yet. So the sign up did end yesterday. And so Kristen started sifting through all of that today. So I should know by our next meeting, but I don't know today.
Okay. Any other questions for Jean? Barbara?
If people hadn't signed up and still wanted to sign up, can they?
I won't know until we will consider that once we know what we've got. However, Barbara, I will say that's just for the programs that we're offering. SOAR may still have openings, and Brandon Rec may also have openings. They have not yet opened that sign up. So there are those options too. Eric?
Very quick. Off topic, just being today is not a very good day. So if my camera goes off here and there, I am still listening. I've been using the cryo cuff and whatnot. Just I cannot get comfortable today. So I'll be moving around, but I'm still listening. I'm watching, leaving me. So if the camera goes off, I'm still here. You know what I mean? I'm just hurting quite a bit today.
I'm so sorry. Thanks
That's
for
all
being
right.
with us.
If I could summarize in a sentence, it sounds like we don't have very good longitudinal data to see if kids are going up or down, but it sounds like we've got a very strong intervention program over the summer.
We believe that we do. However, we also believe we're going to have a better intervention program next summer. And the reason I say that is we just found out about the money and the rules about 4 weeks ago, and had to quickly pull together a program with staff who really are very tired, and many could not imagine working over the summer. I think next summer, because we have 3 years of this, I think our hope next summer is that we'll have an even more profound intervention program over the summertime for kids. The timing of this was quite late. Pajua is back.
Oh, good. Any other questions for Jean regarding the recovery plan? Okay. We will move on.
Welcome back, Pajua.
Hello.
So the first thing on our under governance process tonight is our Vsba resolution equity 2021. That is being sponsored. So we're asked to sponsor that. Bill wrote it. So Bill, do you want to talk to it before we do anything else?
Well, it just basically says what it says in terms of equity. That's on page 153 or some such, is it not?
Yes.
Okay, I've got. Let's go on to something else if we could, Madam Chair, while I get myself, while I get that brought up.
All right, well then we'll do something that we have postponed for the last 2 months, which I'm sure everybody is going to be so excited about, which is finally doing our self-evaluation for policy 4.1 governing style. If everybody wants to follow along, that is page 154. I have it printed out here. And so essentially what we're going to do is go through this policy and make sure that we're adhering to it, or if we need to make any changes to it. So it says the board will govern lawfully observing the principles of the policy governance model with an emphasis on outward vision rather than an internal preoccupation, encouragement of diversity in viewpoints, strategic leadership more than administrative detail, clear distinction of board and superintendent roles, collective rather than individual decisions, future rather than past or present, and proactivity rather than reactivity. Or accordingly, number 1, the board will cultivate a sense of group responsibility. The board, not the staff, will be responsible for excellence in governing. The board will be the initiator of policy, not merely a reactor to staff initiatives. The board will not use the expertise of individual members to substitute for the judgment of the board, although the expertise of individual members may be used to enhance the understanding of the board as a body. So the question is have we acted consistently with this item of the policy? Don't speak up all at once.
Are we scaling this, or what are you asking us to?
Well, it says consist, so there's 5 choices, always, most of the time, some of the time, rarely, never. So the question is do we circle that, and if we do circle one, or maybe it starts with, do we have any examples of where we've done this or have not done this?
Or are we giving 1 grade as a group, or are we doing this as individuals?
No, we're doing this as a board. Yeah, this would be a board.
Thanks.
Natalie. Oh, sorry, Kevin. I apologize. Natalie, go ahead.
Is this over a certain period of time, like over the last year?
Yeah, I think so. It's usually a 1-year period. We have not actually ever done this policy before, so it's our first time.
I would say sometimes. My vote.
What were you saying, Angela?
I said my vote would be sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay. Is that what everyone else is thinking? Okay.
One of the things that I dealt with was my personal responses were different from the board, in which I didn't really know what a lot of the board people were doing.
So I guess the question is can you give me any examples of where we've done this, where we didn't do this, where we should have done this? I mean, there have been times where you guys have initiated policy. Bill initiated policy tonight with 4.5 and 4 point whatever that we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. There's also the initiation of policy where we've changed it 2.4. I think we changed 2.4. I don't even remember.
I know.
But anyway,
I know.
we have changed some policies due to we even changed one of our own policies, 4.3 was it, as far as when we do the annual report and things like that. So hearing lots of silence, I would just say that we still have work to do on this one. Would you agree with
Well,
that?
I got muted, so I was saying that I did ask for 2 changes for a couple of the
Okay.
policies. It was like a couple months ago, I believe.
Yep.
So we do make changes from time to time, but I do think we could do a lot more if we didn't get stuck in the weeds on other stuff.
Okay, and some have been done by the staff. They've come to us because the staff has asked us to change those things. So, okay. The second one, the board will direct, control, and inspire the organization through the careful establishment of broad written policies reflecting the board's values and perspectives. The board's major policy focus will be on the intended long-term impacts outside the staff organization, or the ends, not on the administrative or programmatic means of attaining these effects. Board values will be drawn from the diverse values of the community, informed by expert sources, both internal and external to the organization.
Lori, if I can go back to the first one for a second, by my count, it's asking us to make 11 different decisions. And I think that's probably some of the reason for the silence. It's just a whole lot there.
Okay. Do you have anything that you want to add or you want to say about it?
I just think it's probably asking too much of the board as a collective body to try to give a simple answer to that as a group and assess 11 different things while we're, in a few minutes. It's unwieldy. That's all I have to say, really.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of words there. I will admit to that. I think it boils down to the fact that it wants to know if the board is making the decisions as a group, and as far as policy is concerned, whether we're making those changes or whether staff is making those changes, and that we're just reacting to what staff is asking us. Barbara, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I know we've had a little bit of trouble, teasing these things out in the past and evaluating ourselves. We do end up, I think, with a lot of silence, and I think that it may be, as Kevin says, we're a little bit overwhelmed by the task in front of us. I wonder if there are, I don't know, policy governance guidelines or templates or examples that we could look to. I mean, I'm thinking of what might help me. I'm not speaking for anyone else, but just seeing how other boards maybe.
Oh, you went mute. I see your hands going, but I can't hear you. Can anybody else hear Barbara? No.
I think my connection's unstable again.
Okay, so we missed half of that. I'm sorry, Barbara.
Okay. It's par for the course. I could type what I said into the chat, more or less.
Chat's disabled. No chat.
Chat's disabled. Semaphore?
So if you want to kind of paraphrase it again, that'd be fine.
Maybe if I turn off my camera, it won't. I'll give it a shot. Wondering if there's examples of how other boards evaluate.
Nope. And there we go again. Okay. She'll come back eventually.
Did I hear the paraphrasing say that this is a question of whether something starts, its genesis is with the faculty or with us? Is that correct?
I think the first one does. I think it wants to make sure that we're making sure that our policies are what we want, and not the staff saying, oh, this is where we need to make changes for our, whatever. And Jean has brought some stuff to us, that we have approved because it made sense. But we've also made some changes ourselves. So,
however, there's a lot of things in here which talks to not having improper relationship with faculty and staff and so forth, which would sort of cut that off. And so I'm just wondering if we have enough data to even know the answer to that question. We really don't know what the faculty has put forward.
you lost me.
Follow me?
As far as faculty is concerned, so when I say staff, I mean the administration.
Okay.
So when I say that staff has brought it forward to us, I'm talking about Jean and her team bringing forth changes to the policies because they see that it needs changing, but there are some times where we have seen that it needs changing too. So I think one part of it is that this is really the first time we've gone through our policies. So for us to be making changes and say, oh, we need to make this change, we're just not that comfortable with it yet. From my perspective, I think we'll get there. but we're not there yet.
Yeah, typically staff would mean bus drivers, cooks, bottle washers, any employee would be staff.
Right.
And the administrators would be called the administration.
Right, so I think when it
So
comes
there-
to policy changes, that's really administration stuff, so I used the wrong term. So. So going back to number one, would we agree that we're still new at this and we're kind of 50-50?
Yep.
Okay.
Natalie's hand is up.
Oh, go ahead, Natalie, sorry.
I would say that as far as making decisions, we've been making them as a group and not letting one individual make those decisions.
Okay,
Right? I think that was one of the questions. I think that's why it's hard to answer this, because there's a couple different things going on. But I would say that most of the time to always, we're making our decisions as a group.
okay.
Do we initiate policy? I haven't seen that in my few months on the board.
When have you been here? 2? No, 3.
Right. So,
So yeah, that makes sense. And we have, in the last year, we have made some of our own policy changes, and you'll actually see one start tonight with some things that Bill has brought forward. So, okay, so that makes sense to me. So what I'm writing down is that as a group, we're making decisions together, but as far as policy changes, it's kind of been a 50-50 at this point. And if anybody disagrees with me, let me know now. Okay, number 2, board values will be drawn from the diverse values of the community, informed by expert sources, both internal and external to the organization. So this year we've had lots of professional development. As far as the values of the board, my guess is your guess is where you think we are on this one.
It might be helpful if you kind of came to agreement on what you think it means. And I think, like, I read number 2 is, do you have a vision, the year ends policy, and are you making decisions with that in mind? And did it come from diverse voices in the community?
Okay. Well, the way she puts it, I can say yes to both of those. Personally, for myself, our ends policy has come from meetings with outside people. That's why we added to the ends policy. It's more diverse than what it was. It's not a one sentence statement anymore. It has, we break it down as to what we want out of our kids when they graduate. What are your feelings, thoughts?
And are you focused on the long-term impacts as opposed to the day-to-day managing? That's how I read the second part of that.
Okay.
And somebody else could read it differently, just sharing my thoughts.
Yeah. So when we make decisions, do we base it on our ends? That's one of the questions I guess we have to ask ourselves. And the ends policy is the first policy, 1.0, which talks about making sure that all of our students move on to the next phase of their life, being lifelong learners. I'm trying to think what else it says. Academically proficient, ready for the next stage of their career, whether that be college, work, or something else.
How would we know?
You would say no?
No, he said, how would you know? Because you're the one making the decisions. Is that what you're focused on?
And do we really think about the kid going into college when we're making certain decisions. Outside of student-oriented policies, probably not.
Well, I think our policy is probably oriented to making sure that our staff can provide those things to our students. Because we wouldn't necessarily give that directly to our students. It would be staff and administration that would make sure that by the time a kid graduates, that they have what they need to be successful.
Lori, as the last time we talked about this, I guess I struggled as Barb did with, are there some examples of this that we could kind of relate to? And I'm struggling once more with the examples, but one thing I do recall, and because it was fairly recently, when we were in a lot of discussion around the equity policy, and really what we wanted the equity policy to be accomplishing or steering us towards, I made several comments in several meetings, drawing it to the ends policy, and that it really was fulfillment for all of our students to be able to achieve what the ends is, the entitlement of the ends policy. So as an example, even though we never really, I don't think, finalized that discussion, during that discussion, I did make that correlation. So I guess I got to answer yes on my behalf for that. I do gravitate to the ends because that is kind of like my benchmark in decisions.
Okay, yep, makes sense. Does make sense. Any other comments, Bill? No? Okay. Okay, well, that's helpful. All right, so the third one, the board will enforce upon itself whatever discipline is necessary to govern with excellence. Discipline will apply to matters such as attendance, preparation for meetings, policy-making principles, respective roles, and ensuring the continuance of governance capability. Although the board can change its governance process policies at any time, it will scrupulously observe those currently in force. Have we done that? Yep, Natalie, go ahead, sorry.
I haven't seen a need for it. So I would say, again, in my short time, that I haven't seen it.
Okay.
How many of these questions do we have?
We've got 2 more after this one, 3 more after this one.
I wonder if the silence is not telling us more than what the questions are.
Right. All right, so my question to all of you is that as far as attendance is concerned, do you make it a priority to be here? I think that the answer to that is yes. As far as preparation for meetings, only you guys know whether or not you're prepared for meetings. So if you think you're prepared for meetings, then the answer is yes. If you haven't read the packet or at least looked through it so that you know what we're about to discuss that night, then we're not doing very well there. But you guys have to tell me whether or not you're prepared for meetings.
Most of the time.
Okay, I'll agree with that. Policy making principles.
Hang on, I think we got.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Natalie has
So
something.
I interpreted that differently. I interpreted discipline literally, like how do we discipline our members to attend meetings, to prepare for meetings, not how we do it individually. So
Okay.
that's how I answered it. So just for context.
Okay.
I'd like to weigh in on this one.
Yep, go ahead.
I would suggest that maybe everybody here didn't read the 194 pages, nor the 150 of the month before, the supplemental materials and so forth. This is a treacherous thing because if you do too little, you get assailed for that. And if you do too much, it doesn't happen. And I really don't think that people are spending all their weekends reading this. And I suggest that during the summer retreat, as we put this on the agenda for some thoughtful deliberation as to what level of information we want and what level do we not. Clearly, we've got to get the porridge just right.
Well,
It's
I
a
think
longer
part of it is
discussion than
that,
just
you know,
tonight.
as far as the audit is concerned, the audit was there so that you could peruse it all if you wanted to. There are certain pages that are definitely important to make sure that we have a unqualified opinion, that we, if there's anything that management thinks that the administration should do, we should probably be aware of that. But some people want more data. And so that tonight, 90 pages of that is an audit. And so you can, you know, Rolodex it to page 91 or whatever after that. But there are going to be times when there's going to be long documents and you glean out of it what you want. So.
Well, I think you just put it, the board restored that we have proper financial procedures, that we don't have a surprise deficit and a few other things which are in the management letter, which is the first 3 pages. And we could go through that. And then for people who want more detail, go to this website.
Okay, well, we can talk about that at our annual meeting. Makes sense. Eric?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
I do concur a bit with Bill.
Oh. Now we
Did
can.
read the almost with the, and you know, I'm a parent, 2 kids in this district. I work 60 hours a week and had ball games every night last week. And FYI, 7/8 boys right now are currently beating Fairhaven 8-1 from, or 13-1 text from my daughter. So the supplemental documents that were released today that Bill put down, I will say, no, I did not have a chance to read those. I got out of work and rushed home, a couple of things and got me on the meeting. So it is a little bit overwhelming to have so much information, and some of it sprung on you that same day, you know, just to have a meeting a few hours later on it. Sometimes it's a little bit too much if you are busy most of the time.
So the only thing that was added today, although everything got sent out again, was just the 1 page of Bill's changes to the policies that he wanted. The supplemental.
I saw the email, but I just did not have time to read it. I gotta go.
No worries. But right, you're right. 90 pages on the same day would be absolutely crazy, but that is not what happened, just so you know. Okay. Let's see. So as far as the rest of this, do you feel that we respect the rules? It says respective roles. So do we respect the roles of the chair? Do we respect the superintendent? Do we respect ourselves? Those are all questions that that this part is asking us. And we're just making sure, and what it really wants to know is that we're making sure that our governance, that we're following what we said we want to do, which is policy governance. Would you agree with that?
I feel,
Go ahead, Becky.
I feel like we follow policy governance, but respective roles is not always happening.
Okay. So we can work on that one.
I don't know what you mean, Rebecca.
Sometimes if people talk out of turn, or 2 meetings ago when there was an argument between a couple board members, one of them being Lori.
or a meeting gets shut down because of
Yeah, that's the meeting.
Okay. But most of the time, I think we do respect roles. That hasn't happened more than once. Okay, we're gonna go on to the next one. Continual board development will include orientation of new board members in the board's governance process and periodic board discussions and process improvement. So that one I can say that I think we always do. We do provide a, oh, go ahead, Barry, sorry.
No, Lori, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I didn't know you were going to begin to speak. I want to respect the roles. I don't want to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
What I was going to say, I think it really is exactly what you were going to say for the first part of that. I think we do a good job with that. But what I was going to really comment on was the second part of that. I guess it's no secret because I've said it many, many times. I'm a true believer in continuous improvement, and I don't think we put enough focus or effort into that. And I love the people, I love the board, I love everything about us. We're great, but I think our structure, our format, the forum, we're a very transactional board, and I think continuous improvement really, it requires like a reflective analysis. You know, time to kind of look at how are we doing, what are we doing, how could we do better? And we really don't have that built into our meeting structure. So no fault to us, it just isn't there right now.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'm offering a solution, but I'll offer a suggestion to think about. I know in the beginning of every meeting, we have a section where you say, is there anyone, you know, from the community or public that has anything they want to share with the board? I think we ought to expand that to give board members that equal offering to share perhaps things or thoughts that they have, maybe reflections of what we, you know, how we conducted the last meeting or whatever it may be. But somehow, and that may not be a solution, it's just a thought. But somehow I think we need to kind of build in some ability to kind of look within and see how are we doing and how can we get better. And I don't think we have that right now.
Okay. I will add that to the list of things that we should work on. And if anybody agrees or disagrees, please speak up. Number 5, the board will allow no officer, individual, or committee of the board to hinder or serve as an excuse for not fulfilling group obligations. And I see Eric and Barry's hands up. So Eric, if you want to go first.
My apologies. It's quickly, do we have a tentative plan, schedule, et cetera, to have board meetings in person? Because someone like myself who is 50% deaf and struggles to hear what you're saying, what Barry just said, although I heard most of what Barry was saying, and I agree with him in most of his points, but I struggle. Do we have any idea, are we going to be going to live school board meetings like I'm used to from years ago?
So yes, so here's the deal. We can go back into live meetings again in August when we do our retreat. And as a special treat, or however you want to look at it, I talked to Jean today, and I've talked to her a little bit before, but it looks like our next meeting, which is June 16th, which is about facilities, is going to be a quick stop at either Sudbury or North Campus, and then the remainder of the meeting at the opposite building. So there was a lot of discussion at our last facilities meeting about both of those buildings. Sudbury has been empty for the year, and so therefore we should be able to go in there no problem. And school will be out, so we should be able to access North Campus as well. So we will be at both of those buildings We'll only spend 10 minutes at one of them, and then we will finish our meeting at the other building. But that will give you both, that'll give you the opportunity to look at both buildings, which I think will be helpful for you guys. So, and then we don't meet in July anyway. So I guess you could say that we're going back in person next week. Okay.
A couple of thoughts, very different thoughts. In the policy documents there, it has in section 2, which is the board part, it has a bunch of thou shall nots, which is length that exceeds the 10 commandments in terms of what we shouldn't do. And it's like there's this demarcation that comes down very sharply. And I think we ought to discuss that because it limits information flow back and forth while hopefully not stepping on toes. But that's something I think we ought to discuss at the retreat. And in terms of the building visits, I guess we need a method of making sure that we have a decision and decisions are made. I don't want to keep going over the same kind of ground month after month.
Sure. Well, as far as facilities are concerned, that second meeting of the month for the next couple of months is probably going to be about facilities. And since those are two of the ones that were on the biggest portion of our meeting, that's why I thought maybe it would be good to see both of them. I think it would also be important for us to see Sudbury and to see what we could do there, if we're going to do something there, or if we're just going to hand the building back to Sudbury, because I don't think it's frugal, or it doesn't look good to the public to keep a building and not use it.
Understood.
So I think and anybody can disagree with me, if the will of the board is not to go to either of those places, we can meet on Zoom. But I think it's important that we see both of the buildings. And they're only 5 miles from each other.
Who has the authority under policy governance?
Okay. So, okay, so going back, so we got off topic, and I apologize for that. The board will allow no officer, individual, or committee of the board to hinder or serve as an excuse for not fulfilling group or obligations. I think we've fulfilled all of our obligations. But you tell me if I'm incorrect. And we've passed the budget when we needed to pass the budget. We've, I think we've dotted all of our I's, crossed all of our T's, and we've done it as a group. Would that be right? All right, last one. The board will monitor and discuss the board's process and performance on a regular basis. Self-monitoring will include comparison of board activity and discipline to policies in the governance process and board management delegation categories. So we have been doing this, once a month. We've been trying to fit in a policy and monitor it, although this one has taken us a while to get to because we've had other things come up. Would you agree with that?
You also have individual meeting evaluations, which, listening to Barry's idea, that is the whole point of this exercise, is self-reflection on how you're doing. And so is the individual meeting evaluation.
Okay, so I'm glad that's over. Are you ready, Bill, now to talk about your resolution?
Lori,
Yes.
do you have to adopt or approve or do anything with that?
Nope.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, though.
Are you talking to me, Lauren?
I wanted you to talk about your resolution now.
Okay, it's on page 153 of your packet, and basically some is that we need a school approval process at the state level, which includes the private schools as well as the public schools. And this has got me into a lot of trouble with the private schools, but they don't necessarily live by the same rules in terms of the financial reports, such as the audits that we went through. And they're required to do that. And there's some questions about special education, whether they're accepting over there. And so the Constitution says that everybody has a right to complete education. And some kids have more of an education than others. And what I'm asking first for your approval is a resolution, and then hopefully we'll take that to the VSBA convention and get this adopted as official position of VSBA, and that will influence on what is called, well, it's the state board rules of the 2200 series, to get them modified so that they would be up to proper accountability. That's it in a nutshell.
And Barstow has already approved this, correct? So they're on board?
I'm sorry, RNESU has already approved this.
Okay.
Barstow recognized that if they approve this, they already violate it because of private school tuition, and they don't monitor private schools and whether or not they exclude or discriminate against kids. So they're struggling with that. But the RNESU board has approved it. And I think Bill said this, but approval by the boards just simply allows the Otter Valley board to carry this to VSBA for full membership action.
Right. And I will also tell you that I received an email from Angela Arsenault, who's the chair of the Champlain Valley School Board, who wants to sponsor this as well and wants to know if we make any changes to it. So the question I think that's before us is, does someone want to make a motion to accept this resolution or to push it forward? That's what we need first.
I will move it.
Okay, and then a second.
I'll second.
Thanks, Greg. Okay, so then as far as discussion is concerned, is there anything that anybody thinks needs to be changed about it, has questions for Bill about it, or questions just in general? I think it's a very good resolution. I think our money should stay outside of the private schools, but that's my opinion. And Kevin.
Thanks. Just a quick question about admissions. Is that directed toward the private schools? I'm just a little unclear about what the purpose of that word is in there.
Bill, can you answer that?
Yes, the purpose of that is to make sure that everybody who takes public money is accountable for public money in terms of whether the achievement, their equality of opportunity that they've got, and for financial accountability so that you don't go belly up and in school in December in some places.
Any other questions for Bill or in regards to this resolution? Hearing none, I'll assume that you're all ready to vote. So all of those that approve sponsoring VSBA Resolution Equity 2021 signify by pressing your green button, waving at me, something. If you don't approve, red button. But it looks to me like, Eric, I just need to know how you voted. I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay, looks good. All right, then we are going to, motion passes, and we will move that on. I will also email Angie and let her know, I think her name, Angela. What's her name? Angela Arsenault, and let her know so that she can sponsor it as well, Bill, okay? And Bill, you have a question.
Another thing, Lori, will you be doing the transmission letter to the
Sure, I can make sure that happens.
SBA, or do you want me to take care of that?
If you have extra time on your hands and would like to do that, that's fine, but I'd be happy to sign it too.
Well,
Be helpful.
as chair of the board, I think it'd be good if you signed it.
All right, I'll be happy to sign it. How's
I'll
that?
have Melinda prepare it, and it's also the RNESU Board and CVSD then.
Yep. Okay. Sounds
One
good.
thing I would add to this is VSBA has said they would like people to do resolutions of support, but not necessarily, which means we would be fiddling with the wordsmithing the document all over again until people are happy. You'll recall that we had a question about this last year when we had co-sponsored resolution that took up a lot of time. So this achieves a multiple school district approach while making it administratively easier.
Great. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate that you put that together. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks. All right, so we're gonna move on. PG policy discussion, continuation on executive limitations policy 2.9 equity. That was in your packet on page.
150,
Right, 160.
165.
Yeah, 165. Okay. Bill, do you have your hand up again? Or did you just not put it back down? Okay, so in order to talk about this, we need someone to make a motion.
So moved.
Thanks, Becky. A second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Barbara seconding. Thanks, Greg, for thirding it. Okay, so on page 165, this is a new policy that has been actually brought forward by the Barstow Board. The Barstow Board has put this together, correct, Jean? And so Brenda asked me if we thought we might want to see this, and so I said yes. So that's why you see it here in red. Questions, comments? Kevin?
I supported this
What, Bill?
written. I don't like the superintendent shall not fail repeated over and over again, just in terms of the tone, but the content's the same. So I won't worry about that too much.
Okay. And Kevin?
And it seems to address every group that put their case forward.
I just have one comment.
Oh, well, Kevin was first, sorry.
Sorry.
I called on Kevin twice, but then Natalie, you'd be next.
Yeah, I've got, like to make some motions to amend it. The first is this, after the number 6, that ends in the words coaching practices and.
Okay.
That this training mandate that participants read Martin Luther King Jr.'s Why We Can't Wait, and that this professional development includes a discussion of the methods and intentions of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference during the Civil Rights Movement.
Evan, can you email me your motions that you're going to be making?
Yes, I don't have it typed, so I can't do it in the next couple of seconds.
Okay.
Well, so the next question is there a second to that?
Well, if that was was it a friendly amendment or?
Well, that's a question. I don't think it's a friendly amendment. So the question is, so this is where I get bogged up in policy, in Robert's rules. So you're asking to make a motion to change the policy as the way it's written. Currently, we just have a motion on the floor to accept the motion or accept the policy as it is. So which one would come first, the cart or the horse?
The amendment would come first.
The
Well, yeah, so you have an amendment on the floor. Kevin is asked to change that amendment. He would need a second for that change to go forward. You would have to vote on that amendment.
Okay,
But I think,
You're correct.
I think you have to, I think you haven't yet voted on the first motion that's on the floor. So either it's a friendly amendment.
right.
Right. So you gotta say yay or nay to the what's on the floor. And then or unless there is a friendly amendment, if there isn't a friendly amendment, then we gotta vote on the motion that's on the floor currently.
That's
If it goes
incorrect.
down, then we can bring a new motion to forth. Or
So
even if it's approved, we can bring a new motion.
Right,
Fix
okay.
it.
That's incorrect, is that you vote on the amendment first, and then if
Yeah, you're right, Bill.
it prevails, then you vote on the,
Then you vote on the amended motion. You're right, Bill.
Okay. So we would need a second to Kevin's amendment.
could we hear it again?
Sure. That this training mandate that participants read Martin Luther King Jr.'s Why We Can't Wait, and that this professional development includes a discussion of the methods and intentions of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference during the Civil Rights Movement.
I have a hard time voting on that only because I don't know all of that information.
Well, that's kind of the point. I want the teachers to learn it.
Well, it would also imply that we would be doing the same kind of prescriptive curriculum for each of the necessary groups and so forth, which is really goes a reach beyond.
If I could, Lori, you don't actually have a second for this discussion.
What it says.
I was just.
What if we ask?
We can discuss.
What if we ask the administration to report back to us on this? Well, it's down there in the last thing. Shall identify and report on outcome indicators. They could also report on the program.
Yeah, Lori, point of order, you don't have a second to that motion.
I thought
Oops.
Mike just made that motion. Did he not? Or did he say not to discuss? I'm sorry.
No, I made the I seconded it so we could.
Right, so Mike made the motion to he seconded the motion. So that's why Bill got to continue to talk. So is there other discussion?
Okay, I
regarding these friendly amendments?
apologize.
No, that's okay.
I think we're getting into the weeds trying to tell our administrator our teachers how to teach. I think we're supposed to be saying at a high level what we need to have covered and how we want our students to learn, but to get down in the nitty gritty and telling them exactly what book to read and that they need to discuss it, I don't think we need to do that.
Others? Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with Angela. I feel like although I like the sentiment, it's a little too specific. And I just worry about boards making such specific mandates in their policies.
Okay. Natalie?
I agree with Greg and Angela.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and vote on the amendment, which was to add to item 6 of this policy to read Martin Luther King's, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the book.
Why We Can't Wait.
Thank you, Why We Can't Wait. and to adopt the Southern, I want to say classic, but that's a movie. You know what I mean. So what Kevin's motion was. So all of those that approve.
I'd like to request a roll call on the vote, please.
Sure, okay, we can do that. So I'm gonna start at the top of the screen. Barry? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Bill Mathis? Bill, yes, no, not voting?
No.
Okay. Kevin?
Yes.
Becky?
No.
Natalie?
No.
Mike?
No.
Barbara Ebling?
No.
Eric?
No.
Greg Bernhardt?
No.
Angela?
No.
Okay, so it fails. 1 to 1. 1 to 9. Okay, so we're back to the original motion that's on the floor, which is whether to adopt 2.9 as it states right now. Does anyone have anything to say in regards to what it says? Kevin?
Thanks. Again, after 6, I'd like to move that we include the following. That this training include instruction in the anti-slavery movement in Vermont and in Rutland County, as well as the response in Rutland County to the erection of Confederate memorials.
Is there a second to Kevin's motion? Is there a second to Kevin's motion? Hearing none, the motion dies.
The amendment died. The amendment
I'm sorry, Bill, I couldn't hear you.
dies. You still have to vote on the main question.
He's saying the amendment dies, the motion.
Oh, right, the amendment dies, excuse me. Thank you. Kevin?
Thanks. We've got a third one. And this would come after number 7, before the sentence, the superintendent shall identify and report on outcome indicators. Superintendent shall provide for review to all boards and the public, all teacher training materials pertinent to this policy after they are prepared.
Is there a second to Kevin's amendment?
Madam Chair, I would move the question.
Okay, so is there a second to Kevin's amendment? Having not heard one, then therefore his amendment fails.
I move the question.
Okay,
What that means is without further debate, we vote.
is that the will of the board?
Bill, do you have to vote on moving the question?
Yes.
Or is that just
Yes.
the way it is?
So,
You do. If you continue or vote for the amendment, if you continue debate, you
okay, so
vote
then
against it.
Bill has moved the question, so we will vote as to whether to continue.
No, we have to discuss moving the question and vote on that.
You cannot discuss a
Oh, correct. Sorry, we have to vote on that.
So you're ready to vote?
Proper motion is
Question?
moving the question.
Right, the motion right now is whether or not you're going to move the question, if you agree to move the
Right.
question.
Okay. So
Request a
I'll-
roll call, please.
Sure. Barry?
Yes,
or no to moving the question?
yes,
Becky?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes,
Natalie?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes,
Barbara?
Yes.
Bonnie?
Yes.
Angela?
Yes,
Eric? Eric?
might be walking.
You might be. Greg?
Yes.
And I'll ask Eric one more time.
And Kevin,
Oh, right. I'm sorry. Kevin?
No.
Okay. So the motion, or yes, we're moving the question. We are going back to vote on the original motion. So all those correct? Is that where we're going now?
That's correct.
Okay. So original motion on the floor. Are we ready to vote, or is there other discussion?
We just moved the question, so we're ready to vote.
Thank you. All right. All of those in favor of the Equity 2.9 as quoted here in red, please press your green button if yes, no for a no vote. Kevin, I don't see you. I haven't. Okay, thank you. And Barbara, I don't see yours. I don't see Greg's. And I didn't see Angela's.
I'm a yes. Sorry, you can't see it. I'm a
Okay,
yes.
that's all right.
I'm a yes.
I'm a-
and that-
Okay, yep, all right.
I'm a yes. I'm a
And
yes.
Eric, are you there? Doesn't sound like he's there. So, thank you. So the it's a.
Eric voted no. I don't know if you saw that.
I did 8, 9, 10, 11. So it's 2 said no, 9 said yes. So the motion passes. Thank you. All right, determine summer board order signature process. So in the past, the summer orders, usually the same as it is now. She'll let us know, Pam will let us know that orders are ready to sign, and any 2 board members who get there first can sign them. Although hours are shortened, correct? You're
not shortened, they're changed. So the hours are 7 to 3 in the summer, starting June 21st until the second week of August, I believe. So just confirming that people will be around this summer and can come in and sign them.
okay. So you don't need a motion or anything like that. It's just more or less to make sure.
As long as the board feels they can do it. We've been struggling a little of late getting people to come in, but it's happened.
Okay.
And knowing that the hours are earlier and people take vacation, is that the process you'd like to continue? If so, that's fine.
So what's the will of the board?
I actually want to run away for the summer.
You could probably do that,
Angela.
Angela.
Oh, how I wish.
I think it's one of those cases where we probably just see how it goes. I haven't signed orders, mainly because I've been pretty busy with what I was doing, but that's over now. So I might be able to get in there, and I don't go away on vacation. So if everybody's okay with that, we'll leave it the way it's been. Just realize that hours will change on June 21st to 7 to 3. Everybody okay with that? Yes? Okay. All right, estimated year-end financial review and possible action. Are we ready for that tonight?
Or do you want to do Bill's 2 motions? Yeah, we are ready for year-end review, but do you want to do Bill's motions or? Okay, year-end review, yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, you basically, Brenda could not be here tonight. Her daughter had surgery today. But we are projecting a 3% savings or approximately $575,000. We are confident that all COVID-19 costs were covered by the different COVID funding relief funds. And therefore we recommend that $460,000 be transferred to the facility reserve fund. This $460,000 number comes from the board discussion this budget cycle to spread the FY20 surplus over 3 years. FY22, FY23, and FY24. So by leaving 400, so I think I said that right, all but 460,000 goes in, we're recommending goes to the facility reserve fund. And by leaving that 460,000 into the general fund, we then do not need to go to the voters and ask them to authorize the board to withdraw 460,000 from the facilities fund. And by investing the policy above 460,000 into the facility fund, we're replenishing the fund for future facility needs, which may be significant. At this point, we also have ESSER 2 and ESSER 3 federal funds through FY24. So we also feel confident that the COVID costs will be fully funded. And we have healthy after-school funds at this time. So in summary, we're asking the $575,000 conservative estimate of savings. We're asking that all except for $460,000 go into the facilities fund. The $460,000 remains in the general fund to be used in next year's budget process to offset tax increases as the board designed in this year's budget process.
So question. First of all, let's get a motion on the floor. Does someone want to make the motion that?
So moved.
Thank you, Angela. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. So my question to you, Jean, is if we do this, essentially what we're saying is with the money doesn't actually move until after year end, correct? I mean, or does
That's correct. So we're saying that the first 460 would stay put and everything
the
else.
rest goes over? So my question is that will that not happen until the audit is done so that you know exactly what you have available? So
Yes.
we're saying keep 460,000 for next year, so it could be $180,000 or whatever that gets moved over. And you're saying put into the facility fund, we don't need to put any money into our after-school programs.
Correct, because we're able to use the federal dollars as part of our recovery plan for after school right now.
Okay. Other questions for Jean? No. Okay, all in favor of the motion that Jean put forward, which is that we will leave $460,000 of any surplus to carry forward to next year, as we had indicated in our 3-year plan last year, and that anything above that will go into our facility funds to be used for major facility replacements as needed. All of those signified by saying yes with your green button, no with the red button, and Barry, I didn't see yours. I didn't see Greg.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm green.
Okay, good. All right, that motion passes. Thank you. We're skipping the next one for a second, next two. So let's look at the policy. So today in your packet was a 1-page document that got added for 2 policy changes that Bill wants to put forth. The first one is a change to policy 4.5. You can see your policies. Policy 4.5 is on page. Starts on page 172 of your packet. You wanted to do 4.5 for conduct, yeah, 4.5. He wants to make a change to policy 4.5, board members code of conduct, to add a number 6. So I guess that would actually be on page 173 after number 5, to say board members are expected to act with proper decorum and civility as befits the finest traditions of democratic governance, and as models for the student body and the citizenry. So this would only be a first reading tonight. Someone would need to make the motion and then make a second to talk about. Someone want to make the motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Greg is seconding it. Okay, discussion.
Lori, do
Yes.
we have something like this in our policies right now?
Well, that's a good question.
No,
I don't believe so. Not this specifically, no. There is a board member's code of
Just
conduct.
having heard the motion.
Yeah.
Just
I mean,
having heard the motion, it's hard to know if there is something. I didn't have time to obviously
So
glance through.
I can tell you that it's the 4.5 specifically starts with the board commits itself and its members to ethical, businesslike, and lawful conduct, including proper use of authority and appropriate decorum when acting as board members. So you could say that it's right there, but this would be more explicit.
Laurie, just a question, as I read this earlier, there's nothing wrong with the statements that are there, and I fully understand, you know, Bill's intentions. I think the one that's referring to the chair perhaps puts more expectation on the chair.
No, we're not talking about that one yet. Can we go back?
Oh, okay.
To the first one?
Okay, well, the first one, I think is just like a general expectation that I already have. So I'm kind of wondering what I gain or what anyone would gain from this, unless there's some implied consequence to it. Because all it's really stating is general expectations that I already have.
Okay. Kevin?
Oh, Barry asked the same question I was going to ask.
Okay. So, like I said, if you look at 4.5, the very first blurb at the top does say the board commits itself and its members to ethical, businesslike, and lawful conduct, including proper use of authority and appropriate decorum when acting as board members. So you could say that it's right there. It's really up to you guys.
I would withdraw that. It does seem redundant, to tell you the truth. If what you read me is for truth, so be it. The real key is the interaction with the chair's role and then the Roberts rules, which follow from that. The Roberts rules, we don't have to have a policy on there already, or modus operandi.
So are you withdrawing your motion, Bill, for this one?
You cut out.
It's up to you. You don't have to. We can vote on this.
No, Lori, he didn't hear you.
Oh, I said, I'm sorry.
Withdrawing your motion?
I'm asking you if you want to withdraw your motion, if you believe that this is now redundant.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're withdrawing your motion. So that one.
And
goes
Greg
away.
agrees?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So then we're going to move on to the other one that you asked about, which is to change to 4.4, which is the chair's role. He wants to add it to 4.4 2F. So it would be after the E on the bottom here. And it says the chair is empowered and expected to assure that public and board behavior be limited to properly addressing policy issues in a mutually respectful and civil fashion. So someone needs to make the motion first and then someone second. If they want.
I'll move the question.
Okay, so Bill has
Move
made
the
the motion.
article.
Someone want a second?
I'll second.
All right, Natalie is second. So discussion. Before I get to you, Kevin, I just wanted to go back to Barry because he had started to talk about this at the last time, and then we'll get to you. Is that okay? Okay. Barry, did you want to talk any more about your thing from before?
Well, I'm all in favor of whatever would provide the chair with the authority and the ability and the directive to do what he or she felt was necessary to really manage and control the meetings. If this does that, I'm in favor of it. I think it's a good goal, and I'm thinking that's what Bill is looking to accomplish.
Okay, Kevin.
I'm actually lost. I don't know what page you're on. I can't,
Oh,
so
sorry.
we can read it.
It would be on page, I mean, the packet, it's on page 172.
Okay, that's good.
And then it's after E. It would be the next one after that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Madam Chair,
Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
this would have to be read in conjunction with Robert's Rules of Order, which I will explain just shortly. And you see, to get to this kind of impasse, there would have to be it's a challenge to the chair's ruling. And in order to challenge the board's ruling, the chair's ruling, you need to have a vote of 50% of the people who are, and if you vote to overrule the chair, then the majority prevails. But it works both ways. Is if the chair can be, what would you say, brought under the sanction here, is that if the chair could make the motion, or a member of the group could make the motion, and either party could be named to be silent. Now, if I held it up in terms of explaining it, or do you get the gist?
Okay. Kevin, do you still have a question?
I'm just totally lost. Could we read his motion again, please?
Sure. So it says the chair is empowered and expected to assure that public and board behavior be limited to properly addressing policy issues in a mutually respectful and civil fashion.
Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions for Bill regarding process, regarding anything regarding this potential? If we do add it tonight, we will talk about it again at our August retreat, because we will not be meeting in July unless you guys want to. Okay, so
Sorry, I was trying to raise my hand.
Oh, sorry.
No, that was my fault. I'm a little concerned about allowing healthy debate, as I think everyone knows. You know, I would contend in the last few months that much of the objections I've been raising to policies have been germane to the policy discussion, and confining debate narrowly to amendments on the floor or how policy is worded, I think can be a bit restricted. We have a tradition in Vermont of rather open democratic discussion, and I think we have to be, and this doesn't just apply to me, I think we have to be very jealous of preserving that. So that's my comment. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else? Hearing none, I'm going to bring us to a vote. All of this is only a first reading, so we will bring it back again in August. All of those that approve the change to policy 4.4, as noted, please signify by a green button or wave at me, red button for no. And okay, 8-2. I think, Bonnie, did I not see you vote? Was that the one? Sorry to call you out. So, all right, so 9-2, it passes. We will bring this back again in August to look at it again. Thank you for that healthy discussion. Let's see. So board annual end of year self-evaluation. Is that something, I know you sent, Jean, can you talk to that, please?
Sure. It's really a reminder that, as Barry spoke about reflecting on the board's work and governance process, part of that is an annual self-evaluation, and Melinda has sent it out to everybody already. I think she's received 3 or 4 back. She will collate anonymously those answers so that at your August retreat, you could have a thorough discussion. So if you could please watch for her email and complete it and get it back to her so that your voice is included in that discussion, it would be appreciated.
Great. And everybody should have gotten that email. If you didn't, email Melinda and she can send it to you. Annual board work plan review. So we are at the end of our work review for this year. Our last meeting for the year technically is June 16th, where we will be talking about facilities again. What I would like you guys to do between now and June 16th is really to think about what we want to accomplish at the board level for next year. Because when we meet in August, we need to start thinking about if we're going to keep things the way they are, with the first meeting of the month being business as usual, and the second meeting of the month, whether it still be PD or something else, or whether we need that second meeting of the month. So I would like you guys to start thinking about things that you'd like to see accomplished, that the board accomplished. And you can either email them to me directly, you can speak them out during the meeting on June 16th. If anybody emails them to me, I will be presenting them all to the board at the June 16th meeting. And we can discuss what we want. I know Bill tonight already brought up a couple of items that he wanted us to talk about at the August retreat. So they're already on my list, and we'll kind of pick and choose what we want to do for that retreat.
If I can add one, equity for the economically disadvantaged is a huge priority for me.
Equity for the economically disadvantaged, is that what you said?
Yep, thank you.
Lori, can I add one right now and save having to send you an email?
Sure.
I'd like to discuss methods or how we introduce motions or proposals to the board.
Okay.
And pretty much, I guess what I'm getting as a distinction between a motion and a proposal.
Okay.
I'd like to have some discussion around that.
Motion versus proposal. Okay, got it. Good. Let's see. So the next thing on our work plan is communication and support to the board, which is the superintendent's report. Jean, is there anything you want to tell us, or?
Yes, so you have the written report, and it pretty much covered what's in the agenda, and I used that written report to give you background information on agenda items, and one of those is, again, welcome to Pajua Gamba, our student rep. Often the board assigns a mentor to your student rep, so it's something you might want to think about so that she knows where, has somebody.
I was actually thinking if it was okay with Pajua, and she'll have to let us know if she wanted to meet with me and one other board member, just to kind of get the lay of the land.
Great.
And so I was going to ask her to stay after the meeting if she wanted to for a minute.
Okay. I think Barry told me that the dates I put on graduation were wrong, although in my head the days were right. So I just want to review with you when graduations are. Lothrop is Tuesday. Wait, Did I say that right? Yes, Lothrop is
Yeah.
Tuesday at 6:30. I start at Barstow on Monday. Lothrop is Tuesday at 6:30. Neshabie is Wednesday at 6 o'clock. Otter Creek Academy is Thursday at 6 o'clock. For any of those, you are welcome as a board member. They will be outdoors. We ask that you wear a mask. And Otter Valley Union High School is Saturday, the 11th, currently at 11 o'clock. If there are thunderstorms, that could,
Saturday, the 12th.
the 12th?
Yeah, it's the 12th.
Thank you.
Saturday.
See, that's where, so I'll stick with the days of the week. It's Saturday. Don't go by the number, go by the day. It's Saturday. Hoping it doesn't have thunderstorms that day. And it's Saturday at 11. Again, it's outdoors on the football field. Also, as you're aware, because it's come up a couple of times this weekend, Walking Stick Theater is presenting their play out on the field. So go enjoy.
It was really good.
The last day of school for students is June 11th, which is why graduation is the 12th. I got that one right.
Awesome. Okay, is there anything else? Oh, so going back, our meeting on the 16th, make sure you look at the agenda because that will tell you where we are starting our meeting, whether it will be at North Campus or Sudbury, and then we will be moving from there pretty quickly to the other site. So we're not going to linger at the first site very long. Frankly.
Lori,
Yeah.
if I may, because RNESU meets the same night, whatever the first site is where the RNESU meeting will be.
Sure.
And then the whole board will meet there with RNESU, hopefully to ratify the para contract quickly.
Sure. Okay.
Assuming they've ratified it. And then you'll tour whichever facility it is and then move to the other facility. I'm working on that right now with Rich and Steve.
Yep, that's great. Okay. And then other than that, I think we are done for the evening. Does anybody else have anything they want to bring forward to the board before we say goodnight?
Lori, I know in the past you've tried to get as much available participation as you could at the elementary school graduations. And I'm available for the Lothrop night, so I'd be happy to go then.
You can go to, I'm going to be at all three. So that I want to, this is the first year that they've all been on different nights. So I'm going to be at all three, but if you want to be there, that's great. We'll see you there.
That'd be
So
awesome.
yeah, so as many people who can make it, please make it. And I'll also be at the high school graduation as well. So, okay. All right, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Katie, has-
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Maybe I can stay and ask you after, Lori, but I just wanted to make sure I have the information right about the high school graduation.
Oh, sure. We can talk about that right now. So high school graduation is on Saturday, June 12th, and it starts at 11.
Okay.
On the high school football field, Markowski Field.
And is there any kind of a COVID restriction that people should know
yes,
about?
we're asking that people wear masks.
Okay. Is it mandatory?
Mask,
saying-
yes.
We're saying yes.
Okay, so that's mandatory. Is there a limit about the number of people?
No, by that time, the Vermont Forward guidance indicates that we can have 900 people. We don't think we will, so we're not.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Okay, so who would like to
Good.
make to adjourn? I thought I saw Barbara. Yep, Barbara's making the motion to adjourn. And you can all second it by saying goodbye.